The Pittsburgh Pirates are coming off of a series sweep of the Colorado Rockies and head back home to face the Cincinnati Reds in what I'm calling a revenge series from opening weekend. Myself and Craig Toth will talk about that, as well as answering some questions that you guys asked me on Twitter a few days ago. All of that and more on the Locked On Pirates podcast.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alrighty, everybody, and welcome back to that Pirates podcast. My name is Ethan Smith, your host of the Locked On Pirates podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, your Pittsburgh Pirates, every single day. Again, you guys can follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan or at Locked On Pirates, and find this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Odyssey, Google Play, and SiriusXM during games. It's going to be a cool thing. To my right, as always, on Thursdays is Craig. Craig, how are you today, sir? Everything going wonderful for you?
I'm doing good, brother. I mean, it's been a great series in Colorado. Coming back home to Cincinnati, hopefully I can get out to the ballpark for one of those games before the bad weather comes in this weekend. So maybe tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah, let's just hope for no delays of any of these games. Let's hope for no postponements of any of these games because the Pirates team right now, this is something we haven't been able to say in a while, but they're on a hot streak right now. They've won a lot of road games. They're one of the best road teams in all of baseball, considering they've only had 2 series at home this year where they split those games. So they're perfectly okay in that department for right now. But the last thing you would want your momentum to be stopped by is Mother Nature. And let's pump the brakes on that. Mother Nature, let's keep that weather away. But you look at the Cincinnati Red Series, excuse me, and at the top, I said this is somewhat of a revenge series. And I know it's April still, it's still early, Craig, it's still, every team still is kind of in that weird spot where they're feeling things out. But for this Pirates team, you beat the Reds on opening day, and then you lose 2 of 3 to the And at the end of the day, I also think I just froze. This computer is like 6 years old, but it's okay. Hopefully you got all that. Did you get all that?
I didn't get much of that, man. I got you in
Okay.
freeze frame.
Okay, cool. So I hope everybody enjoyed me in freeze frame. But anyways, what I was saying was that I think that this is a revenge series for this Pittsburgh Pirates team. You've dropped 2 of 3 to open the season against Cincinnati. Now you're a 12-7 ball club. You're better than the Cincinnati Reds team. You were better than the Rockies team that you just saw. You go into these 4 games and momentum that you want to keep, obviously, as I was saying before, right? Freeze framed is you don't want Mother Nature to slow down your momentum that you have. But this Pirates team, just the way they're constructed right now and the way they're playing, Craig, I think they can beat anybody. And when you look at a Reds team that has not been playing its greatest baseball lately, albeit against the Tampa Bay Rays, I'm confident going into this series, especially with the way the pitching has been, the way the offense exploded in Colorado. Obviously, I don't think you're going to translate that back to Pittsburgh, but what are some keys to the Pirates winning this series against Cincinnati, as I personally feel they should?
I feel like the biggest thing is, getting Cincinnati's starting pitching off of the mound.
Yes.
They have a little bit of an easier matchup tonight. Luke Weaver, he's a veteran pitcher making his first start of the season for the Reds. Get to him. The young guns that they have. We even saw it in the opening day. If you can get Green off of the mound, and you get to their bullpen, it makes things a little bit easier for you. Show patience at the plate, long counts. I know that's something that Andy Haynes prides himself on and frustrates Pirates fans with at the same time, but kind of choose your spots. So that would be my key to that. I know that, we don't have some of the best pitching matchups, the way that it's coming through our rotation. But I mean, we saw, and we've had 9 quality starts in a row at this point in time. The chances of that continuing are slim, just based on history, but to keep our bullpen rested, because there's just been, so many different injuries that have happened to them there. So I think that the keys would be to get to their starting pitching and to not have to rely on our bullpen as much. Or if we do use them, maybe get to use them in a little bit of garbage time where there's not as much pressure on some pitchers.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned some of the injuries that they're dealing with in the bullpen right now. Rob Zastrinski, I can't pronounce the last part. I'm getting there. Big Z. Well, I just call him Big Z. It's easier for me. He is on the injured list right now. Chase DeYoung's on the injured list right now. Robert Stevenson just came back, so I still think he's kind of getting his feet under him. And then we all kind of had to hold our breath for a second after David Bednar took a line drive off the side the other night, but he appears to be fine. That's some of that extra weight, that very healthy weight that David Bednar has off his hip there. The starting pitching, though, is a topic of interest to me because just a few weeks ago, people were ready to rip Vince Velasquez and Rich Hill off this team and throw them into the Allegheny River. Now you're on a streak of 9 straight starts where the starter has gone 6+ innings. And in most of those starts, if not all of them, they've only allowed 2 or 3 earned runs. So at the end of the day, you look at this Reds team and what their strength is what I would call it, strength, quote unquote, is their lineup. And we saw that those second and third games of the opening series of the season where guys like Spencer Steer, Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson were really kind of a thorn in the side for Pirates pitching. And I think it could be that same way again. So I agree with you where you said getting the starter, like especially like a Luke Weaver, out of the game immediately is something you want to do because that plays into your advantage. Because I would say, albeit it's not a great group, the Pirates group that they have in the bullpen is better than what the Reds are sporting right now. But on the other side of the coin, as you mentioned, your starters have to still perform like they have, because this Reds lineup, it might not seem like it to Pirates fans, and some Pirates fans might be ignorant to the fact that it's true, but this is not a bad lineup for the Reds in terms of who they have available hitting for them. I mean, Spencer Steer hit a home run against us in that opening series. He's had a good season so far, I believe. Jonathan India is a thorn in our side. I'm starting to think he's the new Colton Wong of the NL Central for the Pittsburgh Pirates at this point. Tyler Stevenson's one of the better hitting catchers in all of baseball in terms of that position. So there's a lot of things that the Reds do that are not exactly like winning baseball material, but there's still things that you have to keep in the back of your mind and understand that, yes, this is 4 games. Don't just see the Reds on the schedule and expect that we're going to sweep them. I don't think we're going to sweep them. If we sweep the Reds and the Pirates are 16-7 by the end of the week, you're going to start seeing a whole different Ethan here. But 3 of 4, I think, is an expectation at home because, again, you saw those first 2 series at home where you beat the White Sox, yes, but then that Astro series kind of took a lot of wind out of the sails, especially for fans of PNC Park. Bring some of that stuff you've been doing on the road to PNC Park and have a good series. You mentioned some of the pitching matchups. Again, they get the 3-headed monster of Ashcraft, Lodolo, and Hunter Green, I believe. So that'll be something to watch for the Pirates as well. But, hey, coming off of a series sweep, vibes are high. And for me, I have to give you guys content Monday through Friday, which I love doing. You guys are the most amazing engagers and podcast listeners that a guy could ask for. But there are times that I do get tired. There's times that Craig, I'm sure, gets tired. He was just in St. Louis, and he's already back and talking about going to more games. And Craig, maybe we all just need a Built Bar. Looking for a delicious snack but don't want all the sugar and calories? Then you need the best tasting protein bar ever. Built. You got to try these. If you're like me and you want to make healthier snack choices, but you don't want to compromise on taste, I've got just the thing for you. Built Bars and Built Puffs. Built Bars are healthy and taste amazing. They taste amazing that you won't even think they taste so amazing, by the way, that, I mean, you won't think they're good for you, but they are because they're covered in 100% real chocolate, but they contain amazing macros like 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't have to just go to built.com. You can go to Walmart or Sam's Club to get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate or coconut puff, or a 13-bar box with hit flavors, brownie batter puff and churro puff. You can thank me later. But if you're like me and still like ordering things online like that, sometimes I got used to ordering Built Bars online. You can still use the code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off of your first order when you invest in the best protein bars on planet Earth. So, coming off of a series sweep, Craig, as mentioned, high vibes. Everything feels fun. It's still April. And I wanted to get some questions from some people here on the Twitterverse a few days ago, but I ended up taking a nap that I didn't really wake up from. So that's why you guys are getting this now with Craig. And Craig will also offer some insights as well to these because these are very, very good questions. And we'll start with Matt Christine, who said, could you please agree or disagree with this statement and give your reasons? Even with inevitable regression from some players, the Pirates are still significantly better than last year. Craig, I will let you start with that one.
I mean, how can you not agree with that? When you have, stabilizing forces like, Carlos Santana at first base, when you have McCutchen getting off to a hot start, which even in his years where he was, winning MVPs or in the discussion for an MVP, he really didn't get off to those hot starts. Connor Joe, to me, has been, one of the best pickups in the offseason so far because you can pick your spots as to where you put him in at. I mean, looking at, Rodolfo Castro playing really well, Jason DeLay playing out of his shoes right now. How can you not say that this, team is in a better position? I mean, we were running out, Cole Tucker and God, Josh Van Meter, Yoshi Tsutsugo last year. Just fill that in with, the guys that we have going out there right now. And I hate to even say it, like a Mark Mathias, like playing pretty well after getting off to, a slow start. And I don't know how I don't know how that would even be a question or a statement. Like, yes, I mean, this team is better constructed. And then you go down to the minors. I even said this, I think it was either on my show or I wrote about it where I was like, if, Vince Velasquez struggles or you would, unfortunately have, another injury in the starting rotation, instead of reaching down to pull up a Cody Ponce, you could pull up, Elise Ortiz. Osvaldo Bido has looked really good. So that's where, to me, like it's definitely constructed better. It looks different. It feels different because it is different.
Yes, and I agree. And it's something that I said on the crossover yesterday with Paul Holden of Locked On Rockies, is this Pirates team is playing good right now. But I've went as far to say this. This isn't the best rendition of this team you're going to see. It's not. Andy Rodriguez, a catcher, is still better than Jason DeLay. He's still better than Austin Hedges. So that already pushes you up a peg. You mentioned Vince Velasquez, pending injury or Rich Hill or somebody not performing well. It's not like past years where, like you mentioned, a Cody Ponce or a Heath Hembry, for God's sake. You're bringing up Luis Ortiz, who right now, I believe, has 5 of the top 7 fastest pitches in all of minor league baseball so far this year, and is slowly but surely figuring out some secondary stuff. Then you have guys like Liover Peguero, who, pending injury in the middle infield, can come up and you won't feel a difference. There's so many guys that the Pirates have not even sniffed about yet that are going to come up to this team that are going to make it a better team, even if they decide to make trades at the deadline, which I'll talk about that later in another episode, but I was hinting yesterday with Paul that the trade deadline for the Pirates could be very 2018-ish if they're in a certain spot with the way the NL Central is. But yeah, Matt, I would agree, and I think Craig agrees. This team is definitely better, even with inevitable regression from some of these veterans and the inevitable wall that the Pirates will eventually hit. Bryce Jameer says, after these first few weeks, how has your record projection changed for this year's Pirates? I feel there's a real chance for 500 wildcard baseball. And how many years out are we from contending? The pieces are there and showing themselves now, it seems, maturation time. Craig, I believe on Bucs Basement, you and Gary predicted the exact same thing I did. I said 74 and 88, I believe. Is that what you guys said?
Gary said 74 and 88. I said 70 and 92, but could be talked into 72 wins. So I kind of fell right in that range. My prediction hasn't changed yet. I mean,
Mine hasn't either.
we're in April, and believe me, as somebody who blogs about the Pirates and podcasts about the Pirates, I want to be wrong. I just basically saw a team that was young, that was going to go through the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of a season. We take into account potential injuries. I had brought up what would they do if O'Neal Cruz either was injured or didn't play well at shortstop at that point during the season. Possible promotions. So I mean, I don't really change it based on a couple weeks of play. If we get into this time in May and the team is looking just as good, then I'd probably say that I would lean towards my projection possibly being wrong. And it's not like I haven't been wrong before in my projection. So I'm not really adjusting it too far at this point in time.
Yeah, neither am I. 74 and 88, I still think a lot of people with this start, and Bryce, I'm not saying that you are thinking this way, but a lot of people forget that this team is coming off of back-to-back 100 loss seasons, and if the 2020 season wasn't truncated, it would have been three. It would have been three. For this team to get up to even 70 wins, like Craig said, 70 and 92, and be talked into 72, you're talking about a 10-win improvement. For mine, 74 and Gary's 75. I mean, if you win 75 games this year, that is a 13 to 15 game improvement off of what you did last year. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Craig. If they are still in the same spot in May, yeah, I can be swayed into it. And that's why I said it's going to be interesting to watch how not the Pirates. I know this sounds really weird because this is not something in our control at all. It is somewhat depending on how they play against these teams. Let's just fast forward here for a second and say the Pirates are in the same exact spot they're in right now, or at least relative to it, in June in the NL Central. Then I think things get a little interesting because then there's some prospects that they haven't used that could be trade assets. There's some things that you could do. There's some call-ups. And let's also not forget O'Neal Cruz is going to be back at some point. So, Bryce, right now, I think it's too early for me and Craig to change our projections that we had. But if they continue on this hot streak, it can get to that point. Nuggets fan news and updates. His name is Who But Bones. By the way, I think he's talking about Bones Highland there in his But he said, could any Pirates players be in the conversation for any end of season rewards from what you've seen so far? One of them that's plainly obvious is Key Brian Hayes being in the running for Gold Glove because he's going to be in the running for that every year. But if Brian Reynolds can somehow continue to do what he's doing on a just even 75% level all season, I'd throw him in the MVP conversation. I'm not saying he'd win it, but I would at least think he'd be in the conversation. And then I don't remember if baseball does a most improved player award or a comeback player of the year award. But I know McCutchen didn't come off of an injury, but he feels like he's playing like he's in 2013 again.
Yeah, I mean, with Brian Reynolds, you could see the frustration yesterday kind of building up in Colorado. I mean, the umpire was
Warranted.
absolutely
Very
warranted. I mean,
warranted.
very warranted, but you could also see in my eyes that the reasoning for it is, he gets off to the hot start through the first, I believe, like 9 games of the season. He has like a ridiculous like 235 WRC plus. Then over these last 10 games, he has like a 35 WRC plus. Hasn't been hitting as well, and that's the other part to me that is kind of astounding is the stretch that we've gone on with Brian Reynolds kind of going into a little bit of a mini slump here with O'Neal Cruz's injury and the team playing so well. Individual awards, I know it stinks here for you guys, but unless Brian Hayes like brings his average up to at least like a 285 or something and an OPS of 800, and I know Ethan's shaking his head there for anybody that's watching this, that does kill me because I mean, I think back to the days of like an Ozzie Smith who had no offensive prowess like whatsoever and was winning those types of awards. You're going up against Nolan Arenado. You're going to have to at least hit a little bit better, and that shouldn't be part of those awards, but unfortunately at this point in time it is. Maybe at some juncture they'll be able to get past that, but until the voting changes in some ways, he is going to have to hit better. The defense has just been, I mean, unbelievable what that guy does.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we just move him over to shortstop and we just circumvent Arenado, and then he can he can win it at that position. But kind of half joking there. But yeah, that's where I see is the most likely one to happen. I mean, it all depends on how soon Endy comes up. I mean, that's everybody wants to throw him into the rookie of the year conversation. But
I don't think he can win that one. I think Corbin Carroll is going to run away with that award.
yeah, Corbin Carroll. If Jordan Walker gets hot again, I mean, there's just so many different players. But just to even be like in the votes, I would think. I mean, I think to me, I think of like top 5 in terms of voting. I think that we could be into some of those individual awards. I mean, and if Carlos Santana keeps taking shots off the chest or something, you got to give him Gold Glove for first base or something, man. Because either that or just I don't know, maybe just get him some extra padding up there.
Yeah, I know, right? And he had a rough series in St. Louis, and it just keeps happening to him. We're going to answer some more of your questions here shortly. On tomorrow's show, we're going to be recapping the first game of this Cincinnati Reds and Pittsburgh Pirates series, as well as kind of talking about the Hunter Green extension as kind of a benchmark for what Mitch Keller's extension could look like in the future. I think Keller will get a little bit more money because he's a more proven commodity, but I still think it's a pretty good baseline to think about how the Pirates could extend a guy like Mitch Keller. But, the Pirates have had a lot of fixing to do over the years, Craig, and eBay Motors does that for you, but for your car. eBay Motors, of course, for a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Again, thank you for tuning into the Locked On Pirates podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, your Pirates, every day. And a little away from the 2023 Pirates, James asks, favorite Pirate memory of all time, and adds that his has to be the walk-off back-to-back against the St. Louis Cardinals with Andrew McCutchen, of course. For me, I'm 24 years old. Craig probably has a little bit more experienced in that endeavor to say more than me. The Russell Martin home run off of Johnny Cueto in the 2013 wild card game, I think is my favorite moment as a Pirates fan and a baseball fan of all time because it just did so many things. It was almost like that ball coming off of Russell Martin's bat, like the impact of it was bringing baseball back to this city. Like the city for so long, since 92 when Sid Bream um, couldn't throw out whoever the hell at home. Or not, Sid Bream was safe at home. Sorry, he wasn't
Yeah,
safe at
yeah,
home.
yeah. Barry couldn't get the ball
Yeah,
in
Barry
quick
couldn't
enough.
get there, even though if you do watch some stuff, Andy Van Slyke was telling him to come in a little bit, and he refused. But anyways, but it felt like from that point until 2013, baseball, even with the introduction of PNC Park, was just kind of a dead sport. And Russell Martin doing that just reinvigorated it. And obviously, you had two more playoff appearances after that didn't go the way you wanted. But it just felt like Pittsburgh was finally welcoming baseball back into their lives again. Craig, what would yours have to be?
Well, I mean, on the field, it would be kind of hard to top that one. For me, my favorite PNC Park memory is the series after 9/11. I had tickets. They were playing the Mets, and the game, the first games back after that is my favorite PNC Park memory. I mean, I would go. I'd have to go way back, and it would probably be maybe the combined no hitter when the team was not so great. Unfortunately, I went to the game before that and had to find out about the no hitter the next day, and I believe watched it on my VCR and had it taped. But yeah, it's even as a fan, I've been a fan since 1985. It's hard to find you know more favorite memories. Maybe sitting in my grandparents' living room, watching Doug Drabeck close out to the. I think it was like 2 years in a row to send the team to the playoffs. Those would probably be pretty high there. On my list of things. But I mean, everything's always just like, what have you done for me lately? So, I mean, 2013 was just absolutely
Yeah.
amazing, all of it.
Well, and I mean, of course, you've had pretty fun moments over the past couple of years. You have the Jacob Stallings walk-off home run against Edwin Diaz. I still remember that one. That was really fun. Key Brian Hayes hitting a home run in his first full season. What was going to be his first full season at Wrigley Field on opening day was also bittersweet. Of course, we all remember he ended up breaking his wrist the following day. O'Neal Cruz's debut was a very fun one recently. I remember that. This was a big deal at this podcast. I had to cover that for like 4 days. And I think Andy Rodriguez is going to make some slight memories when he comes up. I think a lot of fans know who he is now, and I think he's going to have some moments. And this team has already had some moments this year. I mean, they get the sweep at Fenway. Ji-Hwan Bae has a walk-off home run against the defending champion Astros. Opening day was nuts. I mean, the Andrew McCutchen stuff was crazy. The game was great. The offense was great. And then they exploded against the Rockies for 33 runs in 3 games. This team is a fun team to watch, Craig. But if you had to make any predictions for this weekend, what are we expecting from Pittsburgh this weekend, you think?
Well, I did look when I think you were reading one of your ads. I don't know which one it was, but we do actually get Sessa on Saturday. So please rain hold off, because Sessa is a guy that bounces back and forth between their bullpen and the starting rotation and can't really stick in the rotation. So if we've got Weaver on Thursday, we've got Sessa on Saturday, you have to take those two from them. And at that point in time, if you can get to either Ashcraft or Green, then I mean your goal when you go into every series is to win that series. It's not to sweep. I mean, if you sweep, it's great, but you start building, not splitting the series. So I would think that if, we can get to one of those guys, I think we can win at least two here, and maybe pull off another one there. So I mean, safely 2-4 with the Reds. I mean, people might be disappointed in the split, but once you get into those 4-game series, it is really, really tough to win 3 games.
Yeah, and I'm predicting 3 out of 4. I really think they're going to do it. I do think Hunter Green, fresh off an extension, I'm sure I'll be talking about that on Monday with the Locked On Reds guys when we recap this series. He's fresh off an extension. That's something you have to be proud of, and I'm thinking he's going to come out and play well. I'll leave everybody with this. 1, if I didn't get to your question, I'll answer it tomorrow on tomorrow's show. 2, Jeff Passan just came out with the top 10 best run differentials through the first 3 weeks of the season. Pittsburgh's 10th. They're tied with the Dodgers, or actually they're 7th, actually, because they're tied with Houston and the Dodgers at plus 19. So good things are on the rise right there for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, obviously, the series we just played kind of inflated that, but you could be where Oakland and Colorado are at negative 86 and negative 51.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so things are getting a little interesting, but Pirates are about to play 4 games against the Cincinnati Reds at PNC Park. Let's hope the weather holds off for Craig to go to a game. Guys, of course, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Pirates or follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan. Look out for my game recap on Bucs Basement tonight because, Craig, what's my record in game recaps right now?
5-0. We're going to make you start doing all of them.
Yeah, if I win tonight, I think Craig and Gary are going to start making me right every night, guys, and I'm just going to be like – I'm going to be on my computer at all hours. But, of course, check out all the stuff that Craig does over at Bucs Basement as well as the Bucs in the Basement podcast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today on Thursday, April 19th, April 20th. Sorry, I don't know how to count. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Look out for my coverage and Craig's coverage tonight on Twitter and all the socials, and we will see you on the flip side.